Have you ever felt like the world is moving forward, leaving you behind in silence? You try to connect, to hold on to relationships, but somehow the ties keep slipping away. The quietness grows louder, and it begins to feel as though Allah is intentionally pulling you away. From people, from places, from everything you once held close. But why? My dear brothers and sisters, this separation is not a punishment. It's preparation. When Allah isolates someone, it's often because He's choosing to refine them, to protect them, and to guide them towards something far greater than they can yet see. Today we'll explore 7 profound reasons why Allah isolates the ones He chooses, reasons full of deep wisdom that many of us overlook. But before we begin, pause and ask yourself, what if the loneliness you're experiencing right now is actually Allah's way of calling you closer to Him? What if He's removing the noise of the world so you can finally hear His call? Let's uncover why Allah may be isolating you and how this could be one of the greatest blessings of your life. 1. Isolation to protect your heart. Have you ever noticed how when you're constantly surrounded by people, your heart gets easily distracted? Worldly conversations, endless comparisons, unhealthy influences, they quietly pull you away from what truly matters. Sometimes, Allah distances you from these environments, not to punish you, but to protect your heart. Think of your heart like a precious gem. To preserve its shine, you must keep it away from things that can scratch or tarnish it. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows what can damage your heart. He sees its potential even when you can't. Perhaps you've been around people who subtly mock your faith, who quietly encourage you to drift away from your deen. Maybe you've started to compromise, just a little here, a little there, and then, almost suddenly, those people are no longer part of your life. You feel confused, even hurt. But wasn't that Allah's protection all along? Wasn't He saving your heart before it strayed too far? It's hard to see in the moment, but this distance is His mercy. It's a chance to reset, to purify, and to realign your heart solely with Him. Remember the powerful words from the Quran. So do not weaken, and do not grieve, and you will be superior if you are true believers. 3:139. This loneliness you feel, it's not emptiness. It's space that Allah is clearing so He can fill it with His love, His guidance, and His peace. 2. Isolation to refine your character. Have you ever realized how, when you start focusing on self-growth, the world's noise seems to fade? It's as if Allah begins to strip away distractions, opinions, and people who no longer align with the person you're becoming. Why? Because isolation is a way Allah refines you. When you're caught in constant social noise, meaningless conversations, shallow validation, or unhealthy relationships, it's almost impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone connect deeply with Allah. Solitude removes those layers. It forces you to face yourself, to see the habits, the weaknesses, and the patterns you've been ignoring. Allah isn't isolating you to break you. He's isolating you to build you. Think of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu. Before revelation, he would retreat to the cave of Hira. That solitude wasn't just physical, it was spiritual preparation. It was Allah crafting him for something far greater. Your isolation could be just that, a quiet preparation for a mission you don't yet understand. Yes, it can feel painful. You might wonder why people who once felt so close are now distant. But not everyone is meant to stay on your journey. Some people are seasonal, others are simply lessons. The discomfort of solitude is temporary. The clarity and strength it brings, that can last a lifetime. It's in those quiet, lonely moments that you truly learn to rely on Allah, not on people, not on the world, but on Him alone. Your worth isn't tied to the approval of others. It's found in your relationship with your Creator. So, next time you feel isolated, don't see it as rejection. See it as Allah crafting you into the person He knows you can be. 3. Isolation to strengthen your connection with Allah. Have you ever felt like no one really understands you? Even when you try to explain your struggles, it feels like you're speaking into the void. That's not by accident. Sometimes, Allah allows you to feel this way so you will turn to the only one who fully understands you, Him. Isolation often pulls you away from people so you can be drawn closer to Allah. In that quiet space, you begin to realize that no friend, no family member, no human being can fill the void in your heart like He can. It's in solitude that you pour your heart out to Him without distraction. It's in solitude that your du'as become more sincere, more raw, more real. Allah wants you to come back to Him, to rely on Him fully, to find comfort in Him alone. This loneliness, it's a doorway. Walk through it, and you'll find that what you thought was emptiness was actually Allah waiting for you all along. When isolation is Allah's invitation, have you ever noticed how sometimes the responses from others just don't resonate? It's like no matter how much you try to explain, no one really understands. But what if this feeling isn't random? What if this loneliness is a divine invitation? When Allah isolates you, it's not to push you away. It's His way of pulling you closer. Think about it. In times of ease, when life is smooth, we often lean on people, friends, family, even our comforts. But when Allah removes those supports, you're left with the one who has always been there, Allah. Let me ask you, how many times have you sincerely turned to Allah with your whole heart, with tears in your eyes, only when you felt like you had no one else? Isolation forces us to rely on Him fully. It's as if Allah is gently whispering, "Come to me, let me be enough for you." But let's be clear. This isn't about cutting yourself off from the Ummah. Islam is a religion of unity. Our strength lies in our togetherness, in our brotherhood and sisterhood. What we're talking about here is something personal, something deeply spiritual. It's a journey of the heart, a quiet transformation that ultimately allows you to return to your community stronger, clearer, and with a more meaningful contribution. Look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He experienced deep moments of loneliness, whether it was his retreat to the cave of Hira, the hardships in Makkah, or standing almost alone on the battlefield. But those moments weren't about separation. They were moments of divine preparation. Through that solitude, he emerged as the leader who united the Ummah under the banner of La ilaha illallah. Your isolation is no different. It's not about walking away from people forever. It's about stepping back for a while, to recharge, to realign, to reconnect with Allah. When you return, you come back stronger, with a heart ready to uplift others. So, if you're feeling alone right now, remember, this isn't separation. It's a strengthening. When your foundation with Allah is solid, your ability to connect with, support, and benefit the Ummah only grows. 4. Isolation is your training ground. Have you noticed this pattern? Every time you're about to grow, something or someone is removed from your life. Maybe it was a friendship you thought would last forever. Maybe it was a support system you depended on for years, and suddenly, it's gone. But here's the truth. Isolation isn't rejection, it's refinement. Allah removes distractions and attachments that cloud your path. He sharpens your focus and teaches you lessons you wouldn't learn in comfort. Think about Prophet Yusuf ﷺ. When he was thrown into the well, he was isolated, separated from his family, from everything he knew. But that wasn't abandonment. That was preparation. In the silence of that well, and later in the stillness of prison, Yusuf ﷺ was being molded into a leader. When he finally emerged, he wasn't just a survivor. He was a man of extraordinary patience, wisdom, and faith. So what if your isolation is doing the same for you? What if the silence you're sitting in right now is your training ground? Yes, it's painful. Losing people, feeling forgotten, it hurts. But remember, diamonds are formed under pressure. The sharpest swords are forged in fire. The struggles you're facing in isolation, those are the very tools Allah is using to shape you. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase connections Allah is trying to remove. Instead, pause. Ask yourself, what is Allah teaching me right now? When you shift your perspective, you'll see that isolation isn't a punishment. It's a gift. When you come out of this season, you'll realize the solitude wasn't to break you, it was to build you. 5. Allah's plan requires patience. Have you ever felt like your life is stuck in place, like you're waiting for something to happen while the world moves on? You see others making progress. You see doors opening for them. But for you, nothing. You feel trapped in a waiting room. It's frustrating. But remember this, Allah's delay is not His denial. Sometimes Allah places you in isolation because He's preparing something far greater for you. The waiting isn't wasted. The waiting is where the real work happens. Think of a caterpillar in a cocoon. That stillness is uncomfortable, but without it, the butterfly can never emerge. Look at Prophet Musa, a.s. Before he was called to lead his people, he spent years away from Egypt, herding sheep in the quiet wilderness. It may have seemed like a step backward, but it was actually exactly what he needed to grow into his role as a leader. What if your waiting season is the same? What if this is where Allah is working the most in your life? Shaping you, strengthening you, clearing your path. You're not stuck, you're being prepared. Allah's plan unfolds in perfect timing, And sometimes that timing requires patience you didn't know you had. Patience is not passive. Just because Allah asks you to wait doesn't mean you sit still and do nothing. Patience isn't passivity, it's an active trust in Allah's timing. It's about using this waiting period to build yourself, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, so when the right moment comes, you'll be fully prepared to step into the blessing Allah has written for you. Remember, what seems like a delay to you is part of Allah's perfect plan. What feels like a pause is not punishment, it's preparation. 6. Isolation refines your intentions. Sometimes being alone feels unbearable. The silence can be deafening. The solitude can make you question everything. But here's the hidden wisdom. Isolation is where your intentions become pure. When you're surrounded by people, their opinions, expectations, and judgments can cloud your heart. Even without realizing it, you might start doing things just to please others, to fit in, to gain their approval. But when Allah pulls you away from the noise, it's His way of asking, who are you doing this for? For them or for me? Think about Prophet Ibrahim, a.s. He was isolated from his people because of his unshakable belief in Allah. But that isolation became his strength. He wasn't living to please his community, he lived to please Allah alone. And that's where his power came from. Now think about us. How often do we get caught up chasing other people's approval? How often do we tie our worth to how the world sees us? In isolation, Allah gives you the gift of clarity. When no one is watching, would you still pray with the same devotion? Would you still give in charity? Would you still strive to grow? Isolation strips away the distractions and leaves you face to face with yourself. It reveals your sincerity. So next time you feel alone, remind yourself, Allah is refining your heart. He's preparing you to live for Him, not for applause. And there's real power in that. 7. Isolation prepares you for your unique role. When Allah isolates you, it's not random, it's not meaningless. He's preparing you for something only you can do. The silence, the loneliness, they're tools in His plan to build something extraordinary within you. Look at Prophet Yusuf as-salam. His isolation from the well to slavery to prison wasn't a curse, it was a path. It prepared him to lead, to save nations. It trained him to fulfill a mission that only he was destined to carry. What about you? Do you ever feel like your path is so different, so difficult, that no one else understands? Maybe that's because your role is unique. Your journey is one of a kind. Allah isn't isolating you to break you. He's isolating you to prepare you. Maybe you're being shaped to be the rock for your family. Maybe you're meant to bring light to your community. Maybe you're being prepared to lead, to uplift, to inspire. Remember, steel is forged in fire. The strongest people are formed in the deepest struggles. Your isolation isn't punishment. It's a process. It's Allah's way of saying, I'm molding you for something greater. So when you feel cut off from the world, remember, it's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. One where your strength and your faith will shine like never before. Final reflection. My dear brothers and sisters, as we've explored today, isolation isn't a punishment. It's preparation. It's Allah's way of elevating you, refining you, and drawing you closer to Him. Every tear, every silent prayer, every lonely moment. It's not wasted. It's all part of Allah's beautiful plan. Remember our beloved Prophet Muhammad. He spent time in the cave of Hira, away from the world, in solitude. It was in that quiet moment that the first revelation came, the moment that changed history forever. Maybe your isolation is also the start of something transformative. Maybe it's preparing you for the most meaningful chapter of your life. If this message touched your heart, I invite you to reflect in the comments. Even something as simple as, Ya Allah, help me find strength in my solitude could inspire someone else who is on this journey too. And before you go, I recommend watching the video suggested at the end. It covers another life-changing topic that beautifully complements what we've discussed here. Click on it and take the next step in understanding Allah's wisdom in your life. May Allah guide us, strengthen us, and turn our trials into pathways that lead us closer to Him. Ameen. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.